Although jumping off the cliff is really scary, there are very few people who do. So if you can overcome fear, even if just for a second, you're gonna put yourself ahead. I think a larger fuck it moment is every time you lose a job, every time you gain a job that you are not qualified for, you just fucking rip it and you go for it. Anyone who's a proper creative is doing a fuck it moment all the time because you're delusional enough to say, I deserve a seat at the top and I'm gonna fucking get there. But the reality is you're Sisyphus. You're pushing a boulder up the hill forever. It's like, and you never reach the top. You're never gonna get that boulder all the way to the top of the mountain. I'm Alex Donnelly, and I'm a culture builder. Yeah, I think for anybody who's trying to finance a film or trying to make a film or even just wants to get into it, I think the biggest advice I was given in film school, which is well not worth the investment, but this advice may very well be, is that there's no excuse to not be making films on the weekends with your friends. And I've carried that with me for a long time. There's no excuse. There's particularly no excuse now. You have a phone in your pocket. It's capable. I don't advertise or want you to be making shit on your phone, but I 100% was making videos for somebody for $100 so that I could take that $100 and make a really shitty short in my college dorm with my friends. You know, and that sort of, that trade of, I'll give you a video, you'll give me money, I'll take that money and I'll put it into something for me. It's a one for you, one for me sort of scenario, I think is the most valuable thing you can do as a creative in 2025. You have to be committed to getting better all the time. I think conversation earlier was, am I religious? No, but what I am like deeply, deeply rooted in is this idea of the growth mindset of you never arrive and your objective is to constantly be moving forward. And that can be improving your mental health, your physical health, your just well-being, your social circle, your creative intuition or creative ability. I think you should always be exercising all of those muscles. The only way to do that is just to be doing it. I just don't think there's a great excuse for wanting and not going for it. Everything's so accessible. It's so easy. You should just go fucking do it. 3 keys to my success is such a funny question because I don't think, like that to me is like, hey, you've arrived, you know, you've made it. And I don't feel that way, but I can tell you what they are, why I've gotten to where I am. The first one is hard opinions held loosely, which is something I approach everything with. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. I'm going to say, I don't like that color of blue. I wish it was a little bit more green. I will have my preference. But the second you tell me, well, we're trying to match that blue to this blue over here, and this is why it is, I will drop that opinion. Hard opinions held loosely. My second key is consciousness is the next step. And what I mean by that is your awareness to who you are, how you are, your work is crucial. I think that's the most important thing you can be evaluating all the time. Is why was that way? And that kind of leads into this third one, which is like failure is the key. You're never going to get anywhere if you're afraid of failing. And so in the same way that I say failure is a key, it could also be that experimentation is what you should search for. And that's what I meant earlier when I said, just try shit, just do it. If you don't have a passion yet, just pick up this thing and go, okay, I'm trying this, I'm trying to paint, I'm trying to learn how to run, I'm going to try a half marathon, you're going to get your ass kicked. But you will learn your preferences along the way. I think somebody famous somewhere said, like, you should be a dishwasher so that you know how much you hate washing dishes. And that will really tell you, you'll be fucking washing dishes and you're like, I really wish I was doing blank. And so I think that experimentation is so valuable, and that can be at every level. When you're making a TV show, or it can be like, I'm going to experiment and put a little bit of paprika in these eggs this morning. It's probably going to taste like shit, but I think the calibration is a beautiful thing. I think my F-it moment is many, and I probably have one every week. But I think the most tangible is like, why did you start a company? Well, I started a company with $600 and like no clients. Just was like, fuck it, we're gonna start this production company. It's something I've wanted to do my whole life. Gonna throw down money to Illinois taxes to like get this LLC. That's like a very tangible thing. And I think there is a risk analysis that a lot of people don't realize, is that although jumping off the cliff is really scary, there are very few people who do. So if you can overcome fear, even if just for a second, you're going to put yourself ahead. And throwing $600 to Illinois to get a LLC is like a very small fuck it moment, in my opinion, because I didn't think about it. I think a larger fuck it moment is every time you lose a job, every time you gain a job that you are not qualified for, you just fucking rip it and you go for it. And I think anyone who's a proper creative is doing a fuck it moment all the time, because you're delusional enough to say, I deserve a seat at the top and I'm going to fucking get there. But the reality is you're Sisyphus. You're pushing a boulder up the hill forever. This is like, and you never reach the top. You're never going to get that boulder all the way to the top of the mountain. That really doesn't matter, because the platform at the top of the mountain isn't the sexy part. It's the pushing the boulder up the hill. And so I always tell people, if they want to start a company, first of all, they should just fucking do it and stop talking about it. But I also think those who want to start a company need to know that every single day there's a higher hum of anxiety inside of you than there would be when you work for somebody else. The responsibility on me to bring in money, to bring in clients, to bring in projects, to propel myself forward, to get better all the time, is a fucking nasty hum of anxiety that only gets bigger and worse every year, but my capability does too. And so that's that fuck it moment where you're taking in a lot and you're like, oh shit. But you have to kind of persevere. Fear is a fucked up thing and it takes down many people. But if you can overcome it just a little bit, you can kind of get that ball rolling. My favorite thing is talking about discomfort. As a creative, as an individual, as a person, I think it is the key to a lot of success is discomfort. And I am a big proponent of that. If you go onto my Instagram, you'll see that every day for the last 7 years, I've jumped into Lake Michigan on my birthday. When is my birthday? November 5th. It's fucking cold. Sometimes there's ice, sometimes there's not. And I don't do that because I'm really looking forward to it. I do it because I'm uncomfortable with it. And that is not going to be something I'm looking forward to, but it is going to be proof to myself that I can overcome that discomfort. And when you sit in that discomfort, or when you exercise going into that space, you become almost invincible. Are you on, for younger creatives, are you in a position where you're uncomfortable as a creative on a project, or you're trying to build something that you don't know what the fuck you're doing? That's discomfort. But your proactivity to get there, you'll continue to build those skills to be able to swim in really cold water and have a better time. My thoughts on AI are pretty pretty flat. Like, I think as somebody who's dyslexic and has anxiety, that shit helping me write emails, love that. But as far as anything is concerned, it should be a tool, and that's my take on it. I think like companies making fucking commercials that are like AI forward is nonsense. You're like, give the robots the shitty jobs, leave the creativity to us. Now, that being said, will I throw a little prompt into ChatGPT to kind of get the blood moving and the thoughts going? For sure. But it should never be the final product. It should never be the only vessel for creativity. It should either be a jumping off point or a sanding the corners. That's my take. I don't think we're doomed. I don't think it's all fucked. I think these are just variables and tools that are true of any generation, but in this term, we've just got a little bit of assistance. I'm Alex Donnelly, documentary filmmaker in Chicago, and you're watching 24/7 HH.